I'm a strategy professor, and I think the term strategy professor is about the most oxymoronic term that I know of, in the sense that um, it's just a great irony in so many ways. The idea that I know enough that I can profess and tell other people that I know the truth compared to other people is so ironic. The idea that there is this notion that a professor knows something is more ironic than anybody could ever imagine, because I think about like the most important lessons in my life actually just derive from kindergarten, and they're simple. They're treat other people nice. They are try to cooperate and find different ways to cooperate. They're very simple. And I have vivid memories of being at the sandbox when I was like 4 or 5 years old in the kindergarten classroom. So I was five, I guess, in the kindergarten classroom, where I had to share with somebody at a sandbox. And I was just content with playing in the sandbox. I think about that life lesson mattered to me more than all of the knowledge that I was supposedly have accumulated over my lifetime. I also think about the notion of strategy, and I think about how ironic it actually is. Because if I knew about strategy, if the field collectively knew about strategy somehow, I think we would universally be far better off and be far more just if I knew about strategy, my shit would be together is another way to think about things. Um, because what applies to an organization applies to your family. So essentially, you are figuring out how a family is an organization. And I think about how oxymoronic it actually is. Granted, um, I do get probably paid more than other professors that are at the university that are doing comparable things, like somebody in anthropology, for example. Um, but the irony is that that effect is probably more to do with other people believing that I'm supposed to know something about strategy and that I am professing something about strategy rather than I have my own shit together. I think about this all the time and how just funny that actually is, that all notions of what my life should be like and that I should have it all together. Um, you know, I don't. The irony is I don't. I feel like it's just falling apart all the time. Now, do I do the basic things that I probably was taught? I remember in like sixth grade, for example, right? Being taught to. I had this one seventh and eighth grade teacher that I just really did not like. My siblings loved him, but I just did not like him at all because he was very much about athletics, um, like in the conventional competitive kind of stuff, sort of thing. And I'm not a competitive person. I love to move, but I'm not competitive. And so it didn't jive with me. But the basic principle of keeping my body moving and doing things has always been part of my life, which is one thing that's important sort of part of my life. So I actually didn't learn a lot of these things to eat healthy. Um, I learned them from my parents. To save money, I learned that from my parents. Now, I'm gonna have to say, I did learn about compound interest, mostly from reading practitioner books. The Wealthy Barber, for example. Very simple things that are well known to a lot of people, but to me was a big thing. So the elements of my life that I would say put me together and probably put me because I exercise, because we try to, not all the time. We don't eat healthy all the time. I had ice cream last night. I have ice cream far too often. Um, all those elements of what it means to have a healthy lifestyle, um, the things that sort of keep me together, the fact that at moments when I feel very dumpy, like so dumpy. I have gone seen a therapist before. Um, all of those things I cannot attribute to learning something in strategy, learning something in my engineering degree, in my undergrad degree. Um, all of those things. I guess compound interest I learned, and the time value of money I learned in my engineering degree. But all the rest of it, I didn't learn anything. I just think it's just a great irony that we call ourselves these terms and they don't represent reality. Now, part of what I look at is decision making, but I make piss poor decisions all the time. Like I do things that I should have got up this morning and went for a walk or a jog, and I just didn't want to do it. Um, I think about all those things that in my life that I'm supposed to do, or as a strategy professor, um, I think about all those things that one would presume that a human being does based on what you would know from strategy professing. That's not my reality. And frankly, in the last few years, I've departed significantly from the reality of strategy professing. And instead, I think more about how my life is effed up and a mess. And I talk more about that. How and why we don't do the things that we are supposed to do and think about. And the irony is becoming less about the understanding of what I know and what I'm supposed to do, and more about the understanding of what goes on in my own life and just describing what goes on in my life as a mess, as something that I wish I could do better. Man, I wish I could. I wish I could live up to that strategy professoring, but I don't. And I think I'm okay with that. Um, I think I'm more normal than I wish to be, and that's a good thing. And the more I stay and do the things that I do, the more I realize how little we understand how messed up we actually all are. And I think that's actually more of the reality of life. That's our humanity. is to know that we are screwed up. And so perhaps I should call myself the sits in the corner being messed up person rather than a strategy professor. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.